Maybe this will wake up that idiot prince. King Charles is so disgusted with his son that he doesn't even want to hear his name on his birthday.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the King YouTube channel.
It's not often that I come across a news article that literally makes my jaw drop, but folks, it happened today. The Daily Express is running an article with the headline, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle mentions banned at King Charles's birthday celebrations. Now, before we get into it, I mean seriously, if this is not the wake-up call that Harry needs, what is going to be? Can you imagine it? Harry's own father does not want to be reminded of his existence on his birthday. Even for a traitor like Harry, that has to sting. According to this exclusive in The Express, sources reveal that aides are so afraid that the dreaded H or M words will spill out in front of the king that they have quietly told members of the household to ensure that their names are never mentioned in front of His Majesty. According to the source, not only will the king hold a lavish reception at Clarence House on November 14th, but he will also make an appearance at a charity event at Highgrove a day earlier. It has been made very clear that Sussex discussions are firmly off the table at both events. Wow, some very strong words indeed. Now, it's also making me wonder about whether or not Harry and Meghan really were invited to the King's party. Before, I kind of thought Harry was invited and Meghan wasn't, but maybe they're being honest when they say they didn't receive any invitation whatsoever from Buckingham Palace. I mean, if the King doesn't even want to hear their names mentioned, it does seem unlikely that he would want them there. But you know what? I think the king deserves to enjoy his birthday. He enjoys to have a day that's about him and the good work that he's doing, not about a couple of whiners who get way too much attention in the media. So the Prince's Foundation is going to host celebratory events at both Highgrove Gardens and Dumfries House in Scotland on November 13th for organizations and individuals also turning 75 this year, according to The Express. I think this is such a neat idea. It's not like the king can celebrate his birthday with both his sons, so I think it's a really lovely idea for him to celebrate it with his subjects who are also turning 75. While the king has his weak spots, I think overall he is trying to bring the country together, and he should be celebrated for that. As for how he handles Meghan and Harry, well, let's be honest here, his hands are basically tied. It is Parliament's job to take away the titles. It's not his job. He couldn't do it if he wanted to. Now, supposedly, there is still some bill working its way through Parliament. I haven't read an update on that in a while. If you have any, please let me know below in the comments section. But anyway, I do believe that people are often too hard on the king. I think we need to give him a break, especially considering it's his birthday next week. I do believe that King Charles is also trying his best to relate to his people. He's trying to make connections. According to the source, the foundation event was originally planned for Dumfries House, but the king was keen to have a secondary event placed upon his doorstep at Highgrove so that he could join in the celebrations. The source went on to say that if all goes well with no illnesses or interruptions, King Charles will make an appearance at the Highgrove event. The source reported, although it hasn't been officially confirmed just yet, the king has an appearance at Highgrove penciled in his diary. I do hope that the king feels support from his country on his birthday. After all the problems that he has had with Harry and Meghan, I think right now he could use a little something to uplift his spirits. Now, I know he's king, but at the same time, he is still a father, and I know it hurts him deeply to watch his son making such horrible choices in life. Just think of everything that the king has had to put up with recently from Meghan and Harry. Harry even snubbed his father during the video that he made for that charity recently. He was wearing all those Jubilee pins, but there was one pin that was clearly absent. It was the pin from his father's coronation. And I'm sure that was intentional. Harry and Meghan love to play these games. They really love to try to stick it to the royal family. For what, I still don't know. But they're like a couple of little kids. You didn't give them what they wanted, and so now you're gonna be sorry. But the royal family is not sorry. The real royals have nothing to be sorry about, and so it's nice to see that they're just going about their good work. As the Express reports, November has so far been a busy month for both the king and queen, which has seen them undertake a state visit to Kenya, followed by the state opening of Parliament. And about that visit to Kenya, even though Meghan and Harry got scabies to try to make it sound like it was a disaster, it wasn't. It was actually a very successful trip. The people of Kenya were thrilled to see them, and the king did address Britain's colonial past. And on that issue, I mean, the king cannot win with people like Meghan and scabies anyway. It doesn't matter what he says, it's never going to be enough for people like Meghan and scabies. But at least it was enough for the people of Kenya. They're the people whose opinions matter, not a couple of lazy grifters like Meghan and Scooby-Doo. The source also reported the king has a busy few days between November 12th and 15th. It will involve a lot of back and forth between London and Gloucestershire, but he's determined to celebrate his 75th birthday without any interruptions. He doesn't want the day to be overshadowed by people who aren't there, the unmentionables as staff now call them. And as for the question of whether or not Harry and Meghan were invited, I mean, I'm still not sure. I gotta do some digging on this. According to The Express, it was revealed on Monday that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were not invited to King Charles' 75th birthday bash, but again, this news came from them, so I'm not convinced. In the past, King Charles had said that Harry will always be invited to family events, that that's never going to change, that Harry will always be his son and he will always love him. But who knows? There is a lot that has happened since he said that, so maybe he finally had enough. The source also said all the senior members of the royal family are expected to make an appearance at Clarence House. The fact that the Sussexes weren't even invited to an important milestone like this speaks volumes. It will be very hard for them to claw their way back from this. It's worth noting that this news is not some official statement from Buckingham Palace. This is coming from a source. But as we have discussed before, often these sources are people who are paid to leak information to the media, and this information is often true. Of course, the sources are allowed to get it wrong sometimes too, so we should take things they say with a grain of salt. But still, I don't know, I'm starting to become convinced that Harry and Meghan really were not invited. Reportedly, King Charles was very upset by what Harry wrote about Camilla in Spare, but then Harry was invited to the coronation in May and he even went. So something tells me there is something that has happened behind the scenes since then. I don't know what it is exactly because as far as we know, they've not been speaking much, but it could be that maybe the king tried to reach out to Harry. Maybe he tried to reconcile, and maybe Harry again just pitched a fit and demanded an apology. And I'm sure the king told him no because they have nothing to apologize for. That is the issue here. Harry and Meghan, if they're never going to make peace unless they get an apology, well, I guess the family feud is never going to end. But at the end of the day, Meghan and Harry are only hurting themselves. The king is still going to have an amazing birthday celebration even without the two of them there. In fact, it will be a lot better because he won't have to worry about the two of them trying to hog the spotlight. His family, the family he loves and who love him, will be there to support him, not to mention all the citizens of Britain and the Commonwealth. I think it's safe to assume that Meghan and Harry's lack of attendance is not going to do anything to spoil the king's special day. And you, what do you think of this news? Please let me know your opinion below in the comments section. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video, please do like and share it with anybody else who would enjoy it too. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.